Hang on it. All this stuff.
The doors of the Love Church are now open. Dear world, you name it, we cover it from the world of singles to the behind the scenes of the greatest movie ever filmed, called Marriage. We dig into everything from dating 101. Why won't they commit? It's complicated. I can't do it if it's the three of us. They're a good person, but I'm not attracted to them in that way. 2, they really didn't disclose who they were before I said I do. How do I do this if they can't keep a job? The bills are paid, but the bedroom is suffering. Did I marry you or did I marry your family? Because we only can take care of us. Let's open up our marriage. Why do I have to buy into your beard gang illusion? You could have told me you were down low and we could have remained friends and not married. And last but not least, did you marry me or your pastor? Have we gotten your attention yet? If so, tune in to Unique Perspectives Love Talk Radio, Thursday at 4:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. If you want to hear more of today's real issues in the world of love, the doors of the Love Church are now open.
All right. Greetings, everyone. And welcome to Unique Perspectives Love Talk Radio. I'm your host, Charles Dixon, and I'm here with my co-host, Mr. Adam Ford. How are you, sir?
What's up, fam, on this Thursday afternoon? How's everybody doing? Hopefully everybody made it through the storms. If you're in the Midwest and you're safe and you're sound. For everybody else, hope you're good to go. I'm doing okay. For Thursday.
The storm's been real, man. It's been crazy.
Yeah, these last couple of maybe 2 weeks. You know, these daggone March in the Midwest is crazy. This daggone is March in Illinois is schizophrenic and bipolar all at the same time, because you never know what you're gonna get from day to day or even from moment to moment. You can get winter in 1 hour, it's like 9 to 10, and then the next couple of hours is, it's hot outside, and then the next couple of hours we got tornadoes and it's just crazy, yo. But like I said, hope everybody is safe, made it through okay, and everybody's good to go.
Well, look, at least it's better than you getting. They've been having ping pong sized hail come down.
Oh yeah,
getting damaged. If you ain't got no garage, you feel sorry.
Oh yeah. Well, I keep mine in the garage on a regular. Yeah. I heard about that though. I mean, we've been having 60 mile per hour winds coming through, just crazy. Daggone air raid sirens going off in the middle of the night.
Wow.
Possible tornadoes coming through or whatever like that. I'm like, Lord, what is going on up in here?
Yeah, that's crazy.
What is going on? But yeah, we making it, bro. We making it. So
in other news, let's see. We have the rehashing of our brother Marvin Sapp, and they just it's so listen, dude. I done seen so many videos and memes that's hilarious. But I'll be like, I know he probably ain't getting much sleep at all. That's it. So
wow.
Hey, but listen though, by way of the Barbershop Chronicles, I have a slight flip today. Yeah. So when I got to the barbershop this morning, my barber, for once, I had to give him a hand clap. He was on time.
Wow.
He was sitting in, but here's the thing. He was on time, all right, but he was in the car with his girlfriend sitting in front of the shop. So I walked past, I gave him a look, I gave him the really, it's time to go to work. Look, maybe the problem is she needs to go to work. But anyway, so to make a long story, so I go inside, he comes inside, and, he and him, we talked a little bit, but the switch today was the man who owns the barbershop. He sits in the first chair, right? So he's the guy, when I first went to the shop, I was telling him about my former situation that I was looking for a barber. I like my hair cut a certain way. He said, I'm going to send you to him. So that's how I met the guy.
Okay.
So this guy who was the main barber, we were talking sports and stuff like that. And then out of the blue, we were talking sports, and somehow, I don't know how the conversation of women creeped in there. We were talking about sports. So I don't even know how that came up. But somewhere along the line, he was trying to talk about the basketball player guy, Anthony Edwards, that plays for the Minnesota Timberwolves. And he was talking about the guy I don't know if you heard, but it's been in the news. Basically, he's a young cat, like 22, 23, making all this money. He got these kids and stuff out here. Now, one girl in particular that he got a kid by, he went ahead, he was advised to pay all of the child support up front.
Wow.
So he paid all of the child support up front, I guess, to avoid the petty modifications years later, whatever else. And here's the funny thing. He said the girl was so clever. The girl lived in South Carolina or Georgia, but she was in the midst of trying to move to LA. So that's when the lawyer advised him, which I think I would give the lawyer applaud, because she was going to LA so that she can pull from LA's law, which would have killed him in the courts, child support wise. So he went ahead and did that, and that was that. So he made a comment about his thoughts about that. And then his words were, and this is where it went south, Adam. He says, that's why I'm getting divorced now. I said, so because he normally doesn't talk personal. He normally always talks about sports. But he, in the midst of him talking, I knew that he had he had more of an angst about him today. He was more amped up. I didn't know where it was coming from, but he threw out there that he was getting divorced. And then here go the barber. Oh, he like to talk about relationship. I was like, I ain't the doctor. Okay. But so the guy in the chair, he sits down in the chair next to us. So then we talking.
Okay.
And so I was honest with him. I said, man, I I don't really like to really talk about people's marriages. I don't want to give, I mean? I'm not I might can give you advice from an overview of what I see, but I don't want to really get into it on like that, because that's someone's life. I don't want to get into on that level. So I told him, and so what he came out and said was, when I met her, she had a kid, and I didn't at the time, and I fathered him as if he were mine. He said, but the unique thing about it, he said, what should have been assigned to me was the boy had a father. And he said the father wanted to be there, but the woman kind of, for whatever reason, was petty with him, and she wanted him, the new guy, to assume the role. But he was trying to tell me the other father wasn't a deadbeat. He just wasn't allowed to be around. So he said that should have gave me a sign of who I was dealing with. That's what he said. So then he says, fast forward, they've been together for like 15, 16 years. And he says, Charles, I'm going to be honest with you, man, the marriage has been over for probably the last 3.
Wow.
And he said, man, and he said, and now, she's so anxious to divorce me because she's filing. And he said, she's so anxious to be outside. He said, I hope she get her wish. She wanted to be with her girls. It's so funny that we're talking about this today, but he said this. She wanted to be with her girls and take trips. And he said that she done got herself in. He was trying his best not to bring up infidelity. But that's all I heard was infidelity. He just didn't want, it's prideful for men to say that, right? But he was trying to say she kept going and kept going and kept going. And then it became, he says, and now it turned from her hanging out with her girls to her sneaking and slipping and sliding at night, or saying she's at her girlfriend's house, or staying over somewhere and not home. He said, mind you, this is a married woman. We got teenage children. So it ain't like, why aren't you coming home? That kind of thing. And he said, so one day they had a blowout argument, and he just told her, he said, look, he said, you can't expect me to just sit here and lay down while I see all this going on with you. And so she said, because I just think we need to go ahead and do this, that, and the other. And she went ahead and filed. So that was just so disheartening. I was just like, man, it's terrible. Because at the end of the day, one day, Adam, I want to do a show. And I want to dig into, because this is so prevalent, but I want to talk about the allure of outside.
Wow.
Why are we so allured? Because trust me, when you outside, it can look beautiful, the grass, the weather, all of that stuff can look, but if you take a real hard look at outside, it's hard outside. You got different elements. The elements might be nice sometimes. One time it's gonna be really hot. Another time, really cold.
Right.
You're gonna stay out there. It's snowing. It's raining. You got to deal with some seasons and temperaments when you outside for long periods of time when you don't have that luxury of quote unquote coming back in. See, it's fun to be out when you can go back in, but when you don't, but when back in is no longer an option, because the point he made was he also said, look, she hasn't had to pay an ounce towards a mortgage or rent for 16 years.
Ooh.
He says, I've always paid it. He said, I looked at it like I paid it before I met her. So it wasn't like, we did something so outrageous that I had to ask for her help. You know what I'm saying? So he just felt like he kept paying it and it was that. And so he tried to be tough about it, but for a few seconds, I thought he was going to cry for real, because when we were talking, I tried to speak real easy because I didn't want to say words that say, Right. So it's kind of been real easy with a part of me was just like, look, I'm just going to be straight. You can love a person all you like, but when they are ready to run out of your arms, you got to let them go. You got to, sometimes loving people is allowing them to hit the wall if you love them. Because guess what? Keep trying to hold on to them when they're trying to buck and run says, I don't love me. Okay. So loving them properly sometimes is first loving you and saying, guess what? If you want to go, I can't hold you. Right. Whatever happens, happens. Yeah. But as long as I can stand by the way I treated you as a husband or a wife, then I got to stand by that. But I can't keep chasing you if the allure has you that bad that you got to go. So if you got to go, you got to go. That is a little disheartening right there to hear that brother give it up like that. I think one of the things that comes to my mind in regards to the whole divorce that takes place within a marriage, a dissolution of a marriage, is the fact that both of them, particularly, I'm concerned about the brother, that the brother needs to make sure that he takes care of himself mentally and emotionally. I've said it before and time again, that he needs to make sure that he at least finds a therapist, somebody who he can talk to, get some counseling. Because when you go through a divorce, we're not just talking about a separation of assets and finding some place new to live, but we're talking about that the separation of emotions, emotional entanglement, and all of that goes along with that. Making sure that when that process happens, that you go through a time of healing, you go through a time where you can really like decompress and really deal with what you're dealing with in a way that is not further damaging to yourself, that you're allowing yourself the space and the time necessary to pull yourself back together. Because if you think about it, again, a divorce is literally a pulling apart of what used to be whole or what used to be one. Now you're pulling it apart and you're making it two again. And that can be a very traumatic experience for anybody to go through. And so it's my recommendation. It's my, recommendation that whoever the brother is, make sure you seek some professional help. So get some professional counseling in there so you can really begin to deal with getting some restoration for yourself and some healing for yourself. Yeah, what's interesting? The fact that you mentioned the fact that the woman apparently did not want the previous ex-husband to come around to with the child. That's such a red flag. That's such a red flag because of the fact that she obviously felt some kind of way about the previous person. Now, regardless of how she felt personally about her ex, should not have impeded or kept him from having a relationship with his son. Regardless of how you feel as a parent, you shouldn't allow that to be a blockade to this particular person, because at the end of the day, he's the reason why you have a son. He's the reason why you have a child. You can't ignore him.
You can't ignore him. You can't just X him out of the equation and he's no longer present. No, you have to allow him to continue. And if he wants to be the father, all the more power to him. He wants to be a responsible parent, which every married couple who have had children should want. That you should have somebody who's willing to co-parent with you to continue to raise that child. The fact that she didn't want him in her son in the son's life anymore, man, that's crazy, man. That's like I need to go. I can't hang around this right here. That's a real toxic person right there.
Yeah,
that's a real toxic person who does not want that parent to show up for that child.
Yeah. They got somebody. Yeah, and so just to kind of bring it in, he also said, because I was candid with him. I said, sometimes when you're in these positions, and I said, whether on the married side or on the single side, separation doesn't feel good either way, right? I said, but if you're in these situations, you sit back and you reflect and say to yourself, is there, because we would be lying if we didn't say, did I do anything? Where did I not show up that this person now wants to do an about face? And so what he said was, all I did was, I've had the same job for these umpteen years as being this barber owner, right? And so he says, I work long hours, but you want to live the kind of life and have this, that, and the other, I work. And so it came, when he was talking, I said, let's pause there. I said, because that's a good point. I said, because two sides of it. When the woman is marrying the man that has this kind of lifestyle, right? Or his work is long hours, he's a barber, you have to be agreeable to the lifestyle before you are amendable to the financial bonding, right? Some people see the couples as bonding and say, oh, I got a husband or wife to help out. But you're ignoring the fact that their lifestyle, how they make their money is different. And not seeing somebody for long periods of a time, it affects everybody differently. Yeah. And so I told him, while you do have the job that you have, I said, you are in the position as the owner to probably prioritize things differently. I said, is that true? He said, you're right. He said, I know what you're trying to say. I said, no, I ain't beating up on you. But I'm just saying, like, if you know there is hell in Harlem, right? Then sometimes it may not be smart to continue to work till 10 o'clock and 9 at night if you're going to be at the shop from 8 on. Because trust me, when you give someone the time to think, people come out of it with all sorts of scenarios as to the way their life may be better if they made another move around you, right? So you got to think about that when people are making them kind of decisions. Like if you just like for instance, a fireman or a policeman, anybody that has those kind of jobs that are public front facing and they're gone for hours, you have to have a trusting spouse, an understanding spouse, whether it's a man or a woman. And you can't just have somebody that you're going to say that's your wife or your husband and take them for granted that they're going to be okay with your long extended hours. So you got to deal with it like that.
Yeah, and I think
I'm sorry. Go ahead. No, I want you to get your point out. Then we can go.
No. I think when you were even mentioning that, I think it's important too to also consider work-life balance. I think a lot of us, we work a lot. We do what we do. We get the job done in terms of the work side of it. But a lot of times we neglect the personal side of it. Okay, yeah, we capture the person, we get the person, we're in relationship with the person, we've committed to the person, but we haven't really done the calculations that are necessary to figure out how much space is this person going to take up in my life?
Right.
How do I accommodate them? Especially when you're working jobs, like you said, that require many hours. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes if you're like you said, if you're a first responder, if you're a doctor, or a policeman or something on that level, you know what I'm saying? A lot of times it takes you, you're gone for 24 hours. You're gone for an entire day. And so that person that's with you, they need to be able to make some type of an arrangement within themselves to say, okay, this person is going to be gone. I need to know that wherever they are, they're actually doing what they said they're doing, and they're not doing anything else. Which means I have to come to a point of trusting you, believing you beyond everything else. Because with any of us, we can all create scenarios in our own head as to what this person might be doing, or who they might be talking to, or where they might be. Are they really telling me the truth? Well, no, that's not really the question. The question is, do you trust them?
Wow.
And if I trust you, that means I'm willing to make the amount of space in my life for you to be able to come in and out and go and do what you need to do. And our commitment remains the same. It's not fractured. You know what I'm saying? I think a lot of times when we get involved with one another, we're not doing that. And here to add further to that is the point that we need to be in constant communication with one another about this kind of thing, especially when if I don't see you for hours at a time or days at a time, we're missing each other. We're not catching up with each other. We're not talking to each other. We're not up to date with one another. It's important that we remain in contact with each other so that we can know what's happening in each other's lives. I know sometimes even with me and my, and my wife, with the hours that we work, there are sometimes when we don't see each other for a day or two. And if it goes on for any extended period of time, we got to catch up. We got to catch up. What's going on? Talk to me. Because again, if you don't catch up, then you will allow those scenarios to come into your mind, you know what I'm saying, as to what this person might be doing. Well, again, your relationship should be based on trust. It shouldn't be based on you assuming anything. It shouldn't be based on you creating some scenario. It should be based on the fact that you trust this person to be faithful to you at the end of the day. So, yeah.
No, that's real talk. Yeah. I mean, man, you can go a long way with that, but it's like I said, it's like having trust is the core of it all. And especially, what'd you say?
I said, it looks like you're breaking up kind of bad. You
breaking up?
Yeah. What you doing? Stop playing over there.
Hold on. Let me see something. Hold on. I'm trying to get this together. Hold on.
Here we go. Y'all be patient.
All right now?
I mean, you're a little better, but you're kind of you're stuttering and freezing.
All right, let me see. Hold on 1 second. All right.
He over there playing games with his Wi-Fi.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me?
I can hear
Sorry
you.
about that, people.
I can hear you, but you're freezing and stuttering. Yeah.
All right. Well, if it doesn't change, I'm gonna do something else, and you just carry it for a minute or two. Okay? If it doesn't.
All right.
Can you hear me though now?
I can hear you, but you're freezing and stuttering.
All right.
Your video was freezing and stuttering.
All right.
Video was freezing and stuttering.
You know what? Give me 1 second. Just talk to people for a second, Adam. Give me 1 minute. Okay.
All right.
Give me 1 minute.
So, like I was saying, again, I think it's important that whenever you get involved with somebody, that you understand the fact that their life existed before you got there, which means you're going to have to make some room for them in their life. You know what I'm saying? So that, when things happen, that you're caught up with one another, that you're not lagging behind in terms of what they're doing in their life, but you're making the amount of room necessary so that they fit in your life. Again, a lot of times we get into relationships and we're not thinking about who this person is and who they were before you met them. You automatically think that they ought to drop everything and just, conform to whatever your life needs are. Well, at the same time, we all need to make some type of space and some type of room for one another. So we don't have to worry about whether or not this person is doing this and this person is doing that, and we don't know anything about it. We need to be able to trust them for who they are and who they present themselves as. So that way our commitment remains intact. And I think it's just important to have those type of conversations at the beginning of the relationship, and not only at the beginning of the relationship, but throughout the relationship, so that we know where each other are. So I don't have to guess where you are. I don't have to sit here and hypothesize as to where you are, but I already know where you are. And so I think it's just important for us to continue to communicate with one another, talk to each other, listen to each other. And if we need to make adjustments, then that's when we make adjustments with each other in our lives. So that way we grow and we expand so that we grow and expand in a way that accommodates the other person that's in our lives. Charles, are you back?
In a way that accommodates the other person that's in our lives. Charles, are you back? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, but I can hear me too. I'm echoing like a mug.
Hold on, I'm gonna put it together. Yeah, I can hear you.
You over there having technical difficulties like a mug right now.
Yeah, you were doing that. Can you hear me now?
We can hear you.
I don't know what is going on. Everything is fine. I don't even know what's happening. Like, here's the thing, Adam. But it's in the Ethernet. I don't even know. It's a straight connection. So I don't even know where the hang up is coming from.
Okay, but
you can hear me though?
I can hear you fine. You just again your video is stuck.
I can hear you fine. You just again your video is stuck. Oh man. Okay.
I mean, keep talking. I mean,
keep talking. I mean, yeah, I'm gonna keep on this. So, all right. So, in the meantime, why don't you read the top of the thing, Adam, while I do this?
Okay. All right. So today's topic is navigating love and friendship, hindrance or competition.
Okay. All right. So today's topic
while we all have friends and support, inner circles, how does the impact of those relationships affect your romantic relationships? Is there a science to the balancing act of love and friendship? Should one side receive more of the focus, or should friends be there in support regardless of the outcome? So the question begs, in the space of love and relationships, can our friends be a help, hindrance, or a wager of competition?
Can our friends be a help, hindrance, or a wager of competition?
Yeah, we echoing real bad right now.
All right, so
we might have to leave.
We might have to leave. You think so?
I don't know what's going on because I can hear myself echoing in yours.
I don't know what's going on because I can hear myself echoing in yours. All right.
Okay. And now he's gone. And now can you guys see me and hear me okay? Let's see. All right. Y'all just bear with us for a minute. We're going to get it together. Okay. How about me? Can you see and hear me okay? Am I okay? As I'm here. Can y'all see me? Am I good? Yeah, he's back again. Okay, now okay, whatever you did, that's actually a little better. Were you on your phone?
Yeah, just hold on. Let me try something else.
Okay.
So, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to get out here and stay right here.
You got echo. What? Hold up. I'm trying to see.
Now, all right. Is that better?
That's better.
All right.
I mean, yeah, that's better. So you're on your phone now. Is that what's going on?
Oh, until I figure out what the heck is going on with this internet.
Okay.
But, all right. So you can hear me really good though.
I can hear you fine. Y'all let us know if y'all can hear them.
Let's not look like the old folks say. Let's not give the enemy any more space. Let's get right.
It's not the enemy. You just need some technical experience, bro. You just need to figure that out.
But anyway, all right.
You need to get a new Wi-Fi company, bro. You need to get a new Wi-Fi company.
1 gigabyte of internet should be fine. I don't know what the problem.
You need to get another package, bro. Another Wi-Fi package. Anyway, let it go.
It's the distance from where my what do you call it? Modem is.
Where the router is, and then where
I'm towards the front of the house, and the modem thing is way towards the back. That's what I got to figure out a go between. But anyway, all right. Sorry, people. That's technical talk. Anyway, all right. Now let's talk about this navigating friendship and love. So, as we know, if these aren't carefully done right, sometimes it can come across, we've said before, sometimes we take things to our friends, and you're glad that a friend was wise enough to see something or catch something you didn't, right? And then there are instances where sometimes it can seem like the friend is either hating, being a hindrance to what you're doing, or in some cases, some friends rely on you to be a friend so much that it comes across like competition.
Okay.
And now you find yourself, because it has to be a middle ground. Like, of course, we have friends. The friends are typically there when we are not in the marriages, not in the relationships, at the beginning and the end. And then, so that's the ongoing argument. People will always say, well, I was here, I'm going to be there whether this person is around or not.
Mm-hmm.
But the one thing that we don't take into account is, man, let me tell you something. It is hard pressed to find a friend, even a foe, whoever, that will be happy putting your happiness before theirs. We say it and it sounds good,
Okay.
but you take two single people on the single journey of life, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it may fare well if both people look up at the same time with these great people and they move on with their life and everything seems good.
Mm-hmm.
But if one person is dating some person and it's just seeming like it's going great, nothing can go wrong, and all of a sudden, I think we're going to go to the next step. And now the other person is like, dang. And so now when you're asking for advice, at first it was like the person was a good person, they're a good prospect. But
Mm-hmm.
now when you ask them for advice or bring up something, well, I mean, didn't you go over there family dinner last week? I wouldn't keep doing it. I mean, it could be too much. After a while, the advice begins counterintuitive, whereas in the beginning, it was assistive in helping. And so that's where it comes. How do we navigate that? Like, how do we, we don't want to dismiss our friends, and we listen if they're seeing things you don't see. But you got to be easy with that, because at the same time, while you may be doing that, at the same time, it still could be like, are you giving me genuine advice, or is this kind of riddled with something not so good? You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. That's interesting because okay, so for me personally, I'll just start there. Yeah, you do have friends and you know, people who, offer counsel and advice and, maybe sometimes nuggets of wisdom when it comes to your relationship. But I think for me personally, at the end of the day, and this may more have to do with me being a thinker, is the fact that I think about things a lot. Um, and I'm more prone to make up my own mind about a particular thing than I am to completely lean on somebody else giving me the answer. I want to figure out the answer for myself than I am waiting for somebody to give me the answer, particularly when it comes to my relationships. Now, my friends mean well. They don't mean me. I hope they don't mean me harm.
Yeah.
I believe that they are not trying to maliciously manipulate me by what they say to me or trying to steer me in a particular direction. I take what they have to say to heart, but I don't always adhere to what they say.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes this is where we kind of mess up at. I think because of the fact that we put so much value in our friends, and we should value our friends, but not to the point where they are steering our lives.
Wow.
You ought to be able to think for yourself. You ought to be able to make a decision for yourself. You ought to be able to walk the path for yourself. Because at the end of the day, you're going to have to live with the decision that you made. It's interesting because when I raise my kids to be able to think critically about any given situation, independent of what anybody else might think, even independent of what mom and dad might think, because at the end of the day, you have to live with the decision that you make.
Yeah, that's true.
Regardless of what anybody else and what everybody else might say. And I think if you live by that, you'll be a much happier, more satisfied person. Because again, you look at how we're living today in terms of social media and all this influence and all this contact that we have, all this access that we have to everybody almost on a 24-hour basis. You know, it kind of pushes out me being able to act and think independently as an individual, and it buys into the idea of the collective. The collective makes the decision as to what you should do. The collective determines what direction you go in. The collective is the thing that influences you. But again, if I am a person, I need to be able to make a decision for myself, by myself, about whatever it is or whatever direction that I'm going in. Yeah. And if you can't do that, then I don't know what to tell you, because that's the way life is. You're not going to always have the collective with you to be able to make a decision as to what you should and should not do. You're not going to always have a lot of people around you to influence you or to show you the way to go. So you need to be able to have those skills that allow you to think critically and independently of everybody else to be able to make a decision for yourself.
No, that's real talk. I mean, it's so much so that I look at it like this. If we're not trying to discount friendship and your supportive inner circles, to me, if I'm being someone's friend and let's just say I'm not in a relationship, they are, or they are something else, to me, yes, my concern is the well-being of my friend. Like, I care about my friend, but I'm not going to be messy in his or her business. You understand what I'm saying? It's like, if you come to me and ask me a question, I may give you just a biased opinion. I don't even like to be the kind of friend that if somebody comes to you, you just tell them everything they want to hear, right? You bias side of it, in which, to be honest, in most cases, people want you to champion their side. They don't come to you for you to show them that the other person could be right. They come to you, so that's right, leave them alone. And so what we do now in this way that we are dating and having relationships, we're doing, it's the reason it's becoming so hard, because the people aren't just dating one another. They're dating, let's just say, if you're a man, the odds are the circle of women around your person is far larger than the circle of men around you. Okay. So you're dating her for one bit, and then you're dating the opinions of the circle around her. So you know what she's telling you, and then when we go have brunch, or when we go over here in ladies' night, you come up on the docket, and everybody talks. Everybody gives their opinion. You may tell them, "Oh, he's a fireman." A fireman, girl, listen. I mean, how much money do they make? Let me tell you, I used to be married to a fireman, and then the rest of it is all downhill. Right. And on the man's side, men will, believe it or not, men will sometimes come together, and somebody will tell somebody they dating or somebody. It's a little different for men, because men have a different angle. So men may not go into what all she has and all that. Sometimes men will go for the jugular. Are you talking about someone, Tracy? Oh, Donnell used to mess with her. I don't know. Donnell said, you like, right. Jugular, and now you just like, but I mean, how long ago that was? No, but anyway, we don't like it either way. So the point is, you got to have friends that are constructive and actually pleasant to build, to allow you and want you to be happy. Like, if somebody just wants you to be happy and not wants you to be beneath them. See, some people that we call friends, they don't want you to be happy. They want you just to be behind them. Okay. Let me go first. Yeah. You don't get the husband or the man first, or the wife. Right. To be the person to do this. And then it can trickle down like that. But I'm not used to you being in front of the line. And so you got friends like that, you got to question, are they friends? True. Like if you, like to me, a friend is going to be helpful as much as possible. Yes, the other person could be a jerk, but at least let's rule out every positive thing we can before we arrive at the obvious that this isn't a good person. Let's just not throw all our bad experiences and hateration and all this into it. Listen, I can remember a time, Adam, that I had I'll never forget this. I had a nemesis. I had a girlfriend and I had a nemesis that was her girlfriend. The girl had only met me one time. We had met one time out at, I don't know if it was like some kind of festival, and it was like a busy, loud type environment. It wasn't even like we sat down and broke bread for a long time for her to make a concerted opinion.
Right.
So, but all this person I was dating, I had to come out and tell her. I said, so let me just ask you a question. Where did this person live again? At this time, I was probably living in Maryland. And she said, the person lives in North Carolina. And so I said, so why does it feel like I'm dating her instead of you? And she said, because when we're on the phone talking, you don't give me your opinion. You give me the opinion of
the person, of your
always friend. Your friend this, your friend that, your friend this. And I would be like, I said, but what has me in this position is I only met her once. She don't even know me. So I said, so that then makes me wonder, what are you telling her? Because how is she coming up with this stuff? And she only met me one time and everything is negative, this, that, and the other. And here was it went on only for so long. I couldn't take it for so long now. So when she kept bringing up the girl, she couldn't help herself. Well, that's my friend. Okay, but just because somebody is your friend, it doesn't mean they're feeding you healthy advice to where you are today.
That's true.
Proof positive point. Me and the person dissolved. Why? Not even a good month and a half later, I get the friend request from the friend. The friend, here's what she tried to push it at. She sent the request and the message at the same time in Messenger. So the message was kind of like, that's wrong what you did to my girl. Why you just leave her alone? Because she said that I give her too much advice. She tried to open up the door, right? And so I said, no, the big greater question is, why did you have so much to say about a person you don't even know?
Right.
And do you know what the woman said?
Oh, Lord. What she say, Charles?
I quote, because she don't know what to do with a guy of your caliber, but I do. That's what she said. And you know what I told her, just as blunt as possible? Well, at the onset of me dealing with her, why didn't you tell your friend that?
Right. Why didn't you say that from the beginning? Yeah.
So it ain't the time to tell me after the fact.
Right.
I said, so what does that look like? I'm not going to talk to you after the fact. Well, at least the cleaned up version, not. But anyway, so I said,
of course.
Like, Bruce. But I was just like, but the point was, she was trying to tell. In other words, she was just like, the way she spent it was, I had to do her a favor because I didn't think she could handle someone like you. And I said, well, what is like me? She said, well, first of all, your swag is way different from her. She's so low key, but we kind of match the swag. I said, that don't mean nobody get along.
Right.
We got swag together. And so, well, I just was just saying, I just thought that, when I saw you at Time in the Corner, I was like, okay, I don't think he's her speed, but he's definitely my speed. I said, but then you go on a whole self-sabotage to your friend.
Yeah.
That ain't even cool. Is that this kind of stuff, I don't think men and women are aware that sometimes the people that are closest to you envy your decisions and your life more than you imagine. And you have to be wise enough to be able to say, is this coming from a good place?
Right.
Is this coming from a place that you wish you can switch places?
Right.
You got to be able to discern and know when you're hearing this advice. Is it positive? Is it solid? Or is this questionable? Because, for you to have, like you said, limited exposure to someone, and even and most of the times, the sad thing is the opinions come from people who don't know you, but they're interpreting the conversations between the person you're dating.
Right.
And so I think when you notice that you're dating someone that reports to a high court, if you will,
Right.
you have to establish that in the beginning. Hey, I realize, you around your guys a lot, and you always tell me a lot what your guys say about how a woman should be. Well, I just want you to know I'm my own individual woman, and I'm trying to get to know you, not your friend circle.
Right.
So that's going to be a problem. You got to get that off at the front. If the man sees that a woman got 15 girls that she's always out with, and they gonna give you all advice, you're gonna lose. In a situation with 10 and 15 women, a man ain't gonna stand a chance. If the women have a close relationship to the point that they're influenced by these, you're not gonna stand a chance. So the point, and only way a man will stand a chance is all 14 of them women have somebody that they're content with. If there's not content, there's going to always be problems, and vice versa. If the man is content, he's going to tell you, Adam, you got a good marriage. You hold on. If he's not content, man, we need to go ahead on and go down to the Haynes Point. Else, and you're going to be like, they're going to give you the bad advice. And the shocking, sad truth here is most people, unless they genuinely got history, and as they say, mess with you the long way, Adam, most people give you emotional advice. They don't give you sound advice. They give you advice versus what they've been through, what they're currently going through. They're in their feelings with their person. So you got to know some people, it's just not the right time or season to garner any advice from, because they're not going to probably tell you something really healthy for you. They're going to tell you something self-serving and sabotaging. You know what I mean?
So, that's wow. That's a wow. So my thing is this. First of all, number one, for me personally, again, I'm coming from my own personal experience. I don't have friends that I am suspicious of.
That's good.
That doesn't work for me. I don't have friends where I got to sit here and discern their intent, and now I got to pray in the spirit as to whether or not they mean me good or ill. What? That's not a friend. If I have to sit here and determine the advice that you have given me, whether or not it was good advice or manipulative advice or exploitative advice or blackmail advice, or you trying to set me up advice, I don't need that. I don't need them. They need to go. And I'm telling y'all, whoever's listening and in the comments, if you have friends like that where you have to sit here and assess the advice that they gave you as to whether or not it was advice that will actually help you or hurt you, you need to let them go, because they're really not your friend. Because a real friend will give you honest and truthful advice and counsel. A real friend will support you regardless of what the decision you make, whether it's in their favor or not in their favor. A real friend will stand 10 toes down and be with you and have your back every step of the way. So I don't have friends that I got to sit there and be suspicious of. All my friends are sus. Nah, bro. I don't have time. I don't have time, and you don't have time. Okay. Here's the other thing I want to add to that. I don't need friends that say yes to everything that I suggest.
Yeah.
I don't need yes men. I don't need yes women. I need real men, and I need real women who are mature, who can give me something that may not necessarily feel good to my ears when I hear it, but it's the truth. I need somebody who can confront me with the truth of a decision that I'm about to make that's about to mess up my life and tell me, you know what, dude, you need to chill with that madness. That's not the direction you ought to go in. I need somebody who's going to stand up and say, nah, bro, that's not the right way to do that. I need real men and real women to be a real friend to me. That's what I need. I don't need all the yes and the approval and the accolades and the likes. Man, I could care less about a like. I could care less about a thumbs up or accolade. What I want is some truth and some honesty so that when I make this decision, it's the best decision that I could possibly make based on the information that I have available to me. That's what I'm saying. Okay. Here's the other. No, go ahead, Charles. Go ahead.
All right, you going?
Here's the other thing I want us to consider when we get advice and counsel from our friends. The advice and the counsel, and this is true for everybody, the advice and the counsel that you get from your friend is based on two different things. It's based on where they have been, and it's based on where they are. They cannot tell you about something they have not been through themselves. They cannot give you information or counsel. That's like asking a single person, hey, single person, what's it like being married?
Right. Right, that's true.
They have no clue. You know why? Because they're single. They're single. Okay? You don't have no clue as to what it's like to be married to somebody. That's like asking a poor person, what's it like being a millionaire? They don't know. You know why? Because they're poor and they don't have no money. Wow. So you talk to people who have an experience that you have not had yet. So if I'm a single person and I'm thinking about marriage, I go talk to a married person who's been successfully married.
Wow.
That's what I'm saying. And so I think we're looking for advice and counsel in places where they don't have it. They don't have what you're looking for.
Yeah.
You're asking for information. They don't have that information.
Yeah.
You need to go outside of your space. I think somebody said it. Dion was talking about that's why her circle is so small. Exactly. Yeah. But sometimes if I want to do something that I haven't done before, that means I got to talk to somebody who I have not talked to before.
Yeah. And do something different.
We got to move outside of our places of comfort and move into a different space to talk to somebody who we have not talked to in order to be able to obtain something that we did not have before. You keep going around the same circle in the same orbit of the same set of friends you've always had. That's why you're still where you are, because they ain't going nowhere either. They in the same spot you in. But you have to take a step outside of that circle and seek some counsel from somebody who's in a place where you have never been before. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, that's real talk. It's just, I'm telling you, it's one of the things where if we are also, another thing that if we honest and we think about, when we get advice from our quote unquote friends or inner circle or even family, if 80 to 85 to 90% of the advice is in your favor, it's not good advice.
It's not. When
it's something that's dealing with two people, there's always another side of it. And so a person that's really trying to help you and look out for your best interest, they're not just going to take your rant in account and run with it. They're going to say, what did the other person think about that? What did they say? And the problem is, when you're giving people, if you've ever given somebody some real sound advice, the minute you switch from listening to them and start to question them, the conversation is over. Now, I got to get ready to go, because they don't want you to put the light on them. They just focus on what I want you to focus on and give me the dismissive advice to leave them alone, or that I was right about something.
Okay.
And so at the end of the day, like you said, when you are going to these people, I'm almost to the point where I'm just like, listen, shy of somebody needing to raise their hand for somebody, your life in danger, or somebody's abusive, keep your business to yourself. When you start if you're trying to get to know somebody, keep your business to yourself. The time warrant itself for you to come out from behind the scenes, if that be right, or to be super public or online if that's your thing. But I'm telling you, you're gonna be hard pressed to find people who really want to hear your testimonials of good times and if their life isn't good. If
Hmm.
the man ain't doing all of this for them, or
Right.
their woman ain't showing up this way, she's not cooking me meals and making me lunch and dinner. She's not doing. You're gonna be like, what am I doing wrong? And now you're gonna start havoc in your house because you paying attention to what's going on over there.
Right.
So at the end of the day, worry about what you have going on. Don't bring in these outside influences. That's why they call them foreign agents for a reason. You know, when they're trying to diagnose something, oh, looks like there's
Right.
a foreign
It's a
agent.
foreign body, yeah.
So that's what bad advice does. It brings in foreign advice, which nobody can interpret but the outside, right? So at the end of the day, it's not a good thing to just let everybody speak on what you're trying to do. If you respect it, if you like it, then you keep it sacred until such a time. But don't make it public, because public is next to disrespectful. Because now you're opening me up without my permission.
Right.
I didn't want you to speak on me and tell them people where I work and where I live. That ain't their business.
Yeah.
Right. So keep this thing like this if you want to see it go somewhere. But if you constantly are a person that need to have a sounding board, I'm sorry to tell you, this is likely a person who just really don't trust their own decisions. And that's a personal problem. A lot of times we know we make bad decisions. We choose bad partners. We know we just sometimes we just don't have the best track record. And a lot of times we put that on our circle to fix for us. Well, y'all know the last man and woman did left me, and this you set me up with that person. No, you we might have set you up, but you're the person who the relationship don't work with, not me.
Right.
So that's why I said if you're going to be entertaining these public sessions, keep the public about the friendship with y'all. Keep your personal relationship private. You know, let that be that.
Yeah, and it kind of goes into what I was even thinking about, Charles, is the fact that I think a lot of times when we are faced with having to make decisions and then seeking advice and counsel as to what direction we go in, and then because we based it on what others had to say, and instead of thinking about it ourselves, thinking about it pragmatically, ascertaining and assessing the situation for what it is, we blame other people for the bad decisions that we made.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We don't want to take any responsibility. Ooh, that's a bad word in today's society. We don't want to take responsibility for the things that we have messed up and blundered and failed at. We don't want to take any accountability for the stuff that we have blundered and because of the fact that we feel as though, well, such and such told me to do it like this and such told me to do it like that. But you were the one that made the decision to do it. Yeah. At the end of the day, they get away scot-free. There are no consequences in their lives as to what you did. No, you get visited with a consequence because you made the decision to do what you did. Yeah. This is why you need to develop skills, thinking skills, cognitive skills, intellectual skills that will allow you to properly and accurately assess and ascertain any situation that you come to, so that when it's time to make a decision, you're not dependent upon this one and that one to help you make the decision. You got enough mental and intellectual power in your own mind to be able to make the decision for yourself. And God knows we don't pray about making decisions no more. That's passe at this point. That's not even in the conversation. We don't pray about decisions that we have to make in our lives. We just go ahead and we willy-nilly make whatever decision that we want to make. That's it. And this is the reason why we end up, oh, Lord have mercy. This is the reason why we end up in places we should not be, doing things we should not do with people who we should not be with. Yeah. But again, we don't want to take responsibility for the decisions that we made. Yeah. We want to blame everybody else. We want to, oh, God, help me today. This is the reason why social media is so bad. And again, it has its purposes. Yeah. But because of the fact that we rely on so many other things outside of ourselves to give us the direction that we need, and we're no longer relying on ourselves or even the one that's great on the inside of us to give us the direction that we need, we make bad decisions and we don't want to take responsibility for.
Wow.
Come on, man. Come on.
I
Ain't
mean,
nobody got time for that.
no, accountability it's basically the mirror of self, and we don't like to look in it. To be honest, people, it's like even at work, I don't even really like doing one-on-ones. Like if you're managing someone, you doing one-on-ones because people will fake it, but you can see the body language of people who do not like when you are maybe you're reviewing them or you're critiquing something, and they'll be like, yeah, but in their mind they're like, stop it. Nothing wrong with me, but it has to be done.
Right.
But people don't like to see the mirror of self because it brings out the flaws that we all try to overlook. So to a place of real growth that you're willing to look in that mirror and be like, tell me I want to be better. Yes, tell me so I can be better. And so you got to be able to do that. And that's a healthy thing, to be able to listen to somebody tell you where you're missing the mark. Because at the end of the day, listen, it doesn't help to be in a relationship with someone who is trying to tell you maybe they don't like a certain thing, or I don't like the way you make me feel. For a little while, you may buck against it and be like, what are you talking about? But after a while, if you continue to just not care, then you're saying I don't care, right? But if you care, then you have to say, you know what? Maybe I listen to how that person is saying I am or am not showing up. And I will adjust. Because sometimes we get in them I don't care modes, and either you go along or get left behind. You know what I mean? And so that's unhealthy. But if you're trying to really grow, you try to listen and get through it. And sometimes even the person delivering the news have to be wise about it, because you can't dump on somebody. Sometimes the only thing sometimes about having discussions with a partner or whatever is people don't know when to turn the faucet off. Like you got to sprinkle. You got to sprinkle a little. You can't just say,
"Ooh, Charles, you still there? You just blanked out, bro. Hello? Can y'all see him? What just happened? Oh, Lord. Hello? Oh, my God. Charles. Lord. Okay, y'all. I guess his phone.
But now, what happened?
I don't know, bro. You blanked out, man. You blanked out.
I was coming through. I thought I was all talking. Where did I stop at?
I'm trying to think. You were talking about
I was all talking and everything. But anyway, so see, because I got you on this phone, I didn't take into account if a call tried to come through.
Right.
Blocked it away, it didn't go away. But anyway, all right. So what was I saying? Yeah, man. So
people need to take responsibility for what they're doing. You know what I'm saying? And not just rely on that.
Yeah, because it's not an easy thing to do. We don't like it. But at the end of the day, if you want to see progress, you got to have those uncomfortable conversations. If you want to keep this circle between you and I tight knit, if I make an opinion and we together and we talking, know that the opinion is not to hurt you. If anything, I'm type person, you ever see those monkeys in the jungle and they always on each other? I love to see them prune each other. You ever see them?
Oh, yeah. And they picking out the bugs and stuff like that. Yeah.
Style in relationships.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that I'm better, but if I see something, I'm a corrector. So I'll be like, hey, you saw that? You did this. And I notice people will kick back against that because they're thinking that you're trying to tear them down when the opposite is trying to perfect it.
Right.
So it's just sometimes being able to take that advice and take that stuff and not be offended, but know that it's for the better. It's not to hurt, it's to make the environment better for us.
Yeah. You know what? It's important that we are able to. I mean, that was a really good point, Charles. I think sometimes because we live in a society now where everybody is so fragile and everybody's so super hypersensitive that we fail to tell the truth about a thing for fear of offending them.
Yes.
But that's not life, ladies and gentlemen. That's not life. I don't want anybody in my life who fears that I'm so fragile and so hypersensitive that they can't tell me the truth.
Well, I'm gonna
You said what now? What you say?
I
What
said,
you say? I didn't hear you.
Oh, no, I'm playing.
Whatever. I was about to say something on the air. Whatever, bro.
No, I'm just kidding. Oh, listen.
No, but we need that. We
Yeah.
need that. We
Yeah.
absolutely need that. Here's the thing, y'all. The reality is that growth sometimes is painful.
Yeah, it is.
Sometimes critique don't always feel good. But here's the thing, though. It's okay to be a little frustrated with the fact that they're telling you the truth about yourself. Because if they weren't telling you the truth, then it would feel good. Then you'd have a problem.
Yeah.
Because now they're lying to you about something that they should be telling you the truth about.
Correct.
Come on, help me. So the reality is I have to hear about things that don't make me feel good, but actually are good for me, so that I can grow and mature as a person to be able to make a decision for my life that is independent of everybody else, a decision that would allow me to move forward and advance in a way to where I can become who I am supposed to be. If I'm sitting here waiting on somebody to tell me what to do and how to think and how to be and how to live and what direction to go in and what clothes to wear and what to eat and when to go to sleep, then I'm not a person. I'm a robot. And I'm not able to think independently for myself. But God has given us the ability to think autonomously, to think without the influence of others, to be able to make a decision for my life that will benefit my life. Not based off of what somebody else wants, not based off of somebody's exploitation of me or manipulation of me, but a decision that will help me be a better person.
That's real talk.
Just saying.
Like I said, yeah, let's focus on that. And just to really quick, what I was saying earlier about thanks Marlena for reminding me, is talking about with the drip, you and Dion, talking about when you are delivering, because the truth of the matter is anytime there's a man and a woman in a relationship, there's going to be an emotional upheave, right? The man may feel away, the woman may feel away. And so sometimes one person or another has a feeling that they want to convey, or it could be a list, right? And so while your list may be valid, each bullet point may be valid, but is it wise to shoot the person with all the bullets in the gun at once? You're going to kill them. You gotta you gotta know how to be wise with the way you disperse your issues. You gotta do them in a. It's like seasoning your food. You don't, I love pepper. I'm never gonna just dump a whole half a teaspoon on my food. I'm gonna lightly sprinkle it. So that's how we need to be when we're trying to hash out and discuss things and bring things to our partner. They should be fresh and raw. It shouldn't be rehashed from your circle. The advice and things we talk about should not come from the circle. I shouldn't get the dump after the fact. We should get the dump together at the moment. Let's go at it and let's sprinkle on each other till we season this thing right. But if you're coming to me after being on the phone for 2 hours with your girlfriends, you've already reached the verdict. Wow. So when you come to me, it's just a matter of, right, Tammy did say you were going to say that. I'm hanging up. It happens. So the point is, we gotta be realistic with that. But a lot of times, man, we gotta understand that we're human beings. We're in our flesh. So any given Sunday, like the movie, any given Sunday, your friends, your circle, your family could be in a mood when you're trying to lean on them. Yeah. And people, here you are taking away an emotional decision to your partner that you want to be permanent. Yeah. And now you're causing instability because we're not keeping this thing solid and tight. We've now opened us up to the court of public opinion.
Right.
So yeah, how long is that gonna last?
Yeah. Yeah. You know, I wanna jump on something that Bruce said. It's funny because I understand it. It says, I try to speak the truth in love, but I have a Marine's tongue. And that is hilarious, dude. I understand where you are. Here's the key to that. The key to that is, and I know sometimes we think that it's important. Okay, talk to the person the way that you would like to be talked to. Well, that could come in various different packages. Okay, that can come in various different ways depending on the type of person that you are. But I think a solid rule to go by is to be able to speak the truth in love, or to say what you need to say to the person in a diplomatic and tactful way. What am I saying? What I'm saying is you really need to think about what you want to say to the person in a way. This is where I'm at. In a way that wins them over and doesn't defeat them. If I'm talking to you, I want to talk to you in a way that wins you over to what I'm trying to get you to understand. I don't want to sit here and mess you up with everything. And it's important. Everything doesn't need to be addressed all that one time. That's a way to blow up a relationship forever. That you just blow it to smithereens. But you need to take the time to think about it. I mean, really put some thought into it, especially if it's something that's critical, something that's sensitive, something that should be handled with care. You want to make sure that you take as much time possible to really think about and craft what you want to say to the person, that you are thoughtful about it, that you're not just throwing out things to them in a way that could damage them, that could possibly hurt them. But you want to say it to them in a way that wins them over. What do I say to win them over? How do I get them to understand what I'm trying to communicate to them? And sometimes you have to take time to think about it. Often, even when we're having arguments or disagreements and we're not seeing eye to eye, sometimes it's necessary to take a step back. Hey, let's take a step back. Let's cool off for a minute. And let's really think about what the actual issue is so that we can promptly address it. Again, I think about diplomats. I think about tactfulness in terms of how I phrase my words, what I'm crafting in terms of getting the person to understand what I'm trying to say. A lot of times we want immediate results. And so we think if we say it immediately, that it'll resolve the issue immediately. That's not always the case. Often we have to take time out to think about what we want to say in a way that will win the person over.
That's good stuff.
Yeah.
Man, tight. Look, tight but right.
Yeah. It's tight, but it's right. It'll help you out. It'll fix you.
Yeah, wow, man, this was some good stuff here. So
listen, because Charles, I got some stuff to say to you about your technical difficulties today. So yeah, I'm going to use tact and diplomacy. After the show goes off, we will be having a conversation.
Well, look, guess what? Well, let me pull out my list.
Oh, you got a list?
Because I got one, dog. Anyway,
I got a list right here. I got.
But anyway, so yeah, man. I mean, this was a good show. I mean, this came up to mind because I see this played out in so many ways where we continue to allow other people. I've seen it in many situations. I've seen it in some situations I've been in where, like I said, I felt like I was dating the high court and not
the actual person.
I think we need to give people fair chances to get to know us, not your best friend, your cousin, your whom. All we trying to get. They're not on the marriage certificate. We trying to get to know one another. So you got to give each other a fair chance to connect first, because it's a lot asking of a woman or a man trying to entertain someone that's just not themselves. Like you got a whole crew behind you adding information and giving you input. It's not a fair fight, in so many words.
Yeah.
So we got to think about that like that, and just keep it real. You know?
Yeah, keep it real. Yeah. No doubt.
All right. Well, He's gonna belabor the album. I know Adam is ready to fuss and complain. He wants to talk about this. Just give y'all that disclaimer. He want to talk about this old book. But anyway,
don't do that. You about to mess up. You about to mess up. You about to mess up. Don't do that.
Let me try something.
Don't do that, friend. Don't do that, friend.
Let me try one thing. Let me see. Hold on. Let me see if this is going. I'm going to see.
You got an echo going. So turn off your phone or disconnect.
Hold on. No. Let me try something. Now, is that okay?
Yeah, I mean you're still lagging, but you're fine. We can hear you.
All right, good. At least at the end, we saved it for the end. I couldn't deal with that so much.
Right.
All right. Yeah. But anyway, yeah. But no, this was a good show, man. Look, by next week, we're not going to have this issue no more. I'm going to figure out what in the world. I'll probably get another modem and somehow get it made closer to where I'm at. That's the only thing I can think of. But I don't. Yeah. It's like.
I'm just wondering. We have to check the status of your decos to see if they're bouncing that signal the way they should be. Because
honestly, I got them, and I don't know why it's doing it, but yeah, I'll figure it out. But I'll probably try to put the modem in here if it can work. I'm gonna try it in here. But anyway, but other than that, like I said, we have to just to wrap this up. Think of it like this. If you're getting, well, I guess I can't even say this, but I was getting ready to say, if you're not inviting them into your bedroom, don't invite them into your business. But somebody's probably gonna say, they can come in there, the door open. No.
You know that's what they're gonna say.
What I'm trying to say is,
you can come in.
Yeah, but see what we want to do is we want to put them before the high court and have everybody ridicule them or say whatever they want. But then when the relationship is in a good place, we want everybody to forgive them and embrace them. And that's unfair.
Yeah, it is.
And you can't beat somebody over the head with the pillow and then come back. Y'all leave him alone or her alone.
Right.
You gotta be fair throughout the thing and give people a fair chance, because think about it. You wouldn't want someone that you don't even know to know your business. Right. You don't even know them. You telling everybody the things I told you to get to know you. Right. I didn't tell you to expand the examine process throughout your whole network. Mm-hmm. You know, you tell people things between y'all to get to know each other, not to everybody to be like, well, so-and-so, and they got 2 kids, and what you think about that? You think they pay child support? They ain't nobody's business.
Ain't nobody's business.
It's whatever your situation is, that's your situation is. And that's, keep folks out. If people are going to show up as a true friend, wants you to be, they just want you to be happy. And if they can facilitate the happiness, they're going to do it. People that are not truly your friends will facilitate confusion.
Wow.
And you'll end up finding yourself, when you find yourself having to ponder as to whether or not to do this or to stay or go, and the person really hasn't offended you, you know you're getting some bad food.
Yeah.
Somebody's feeding you bad food and you don't know how to regurgitate. But anyway, so we got to work that part out and just be honest with each other, be honest and say, listen, I would rather someone say, if I was in the dating position, I would say, listen, I'm a little scared of dating you. So I asked my friend, because you might be a lot. Okay, that gives me an idea of how you see things.
Right.
And I can deal with that accordingly or leave you alone. But don't be with me, but you have this supporting cast helping hold you up along the way. Because God forbid, if we got married, they can't carry you over the threshold. I'm there, not them.
They shouldn't be. They shouldn't be nowhere near there.
Correct.
Yeah.
But yeah. All right. Well, appreciate y'all for tuning in today again. And please forgive us for the technical difficulty. We'll have it squared away and straightened out. Hopefully. But anyway, it'll be good. I don't want to keep dealing with this problem. So we'll figure it out, since somebody thinks they got a straight connection. Anyway,
I ain't had no problems though. They can hear me fine. They can see me fine. I ain't had no problems. That's all I'm saying.
All All right. Well, we'll definitely see you guys next week, 4:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, as usual, Thursday. Tell a friend, invite a friend, someone else, share. You know, I know this show is a little choppy, but we still got some good dialogue going. But some of these shows people need to hear and be encouraged. So let's help folks out there, because people out here is messed up in some of these relationships that we got happening. All right, y'all. Y'all be safe.
Because I didn't have to use my phone. I ain't have to use my phone. I was on my computer.
Well,
just go ahead. Come on, man. Let's go.
Yeah, I'm about to go there. You're like, all right, yeah, whatever.
What you got to say, bro?
Yeah, well, if you want to involve people, then it's not a relationship. It is
a menage a trois.
Orgy.
Oh Lord, have mercy, Lord.
If you want to tell, look, this is how you cut the foolishness out. You know what? I told Tammy and Karen what you said was invite them over to the house. For what?
Wow.
Let them experience it for themselves. Well, you crazy one, stop talking to them then. Period. That's how you kill it. People, when people telling your business, all that, tell them, okay, you want me to talk to them and go out with them? Kill it. I'm with you, not them. You don't need to be. I don't need my business spread throughout if I'm not being spread throughout.
Right.
If I'm with you, keep it between me and you.
That's right.
Now we get to a place where we want to expand, and we want that we both mutually agree we want to go talk to a counselor. That's different.
That's different.
But just don't be spreading don't be letting people's words influence your trajectory with the person that you think is positive for you.
Right.
Because then you'll get a negative outcome, a negative outlook, and it won't be positive. So you don't want to do that.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Talk to you all later. You got anything to say, sir? No,
man, I'm good. I think we gave them what they needed to have today. So yeah, I think we're good.
Cool. All right, y'all. Be safe.
Peace.